Today we are going to be playing a deck based off of a movie I remember seeing in theaters as a kid. And it's actually the first movie I ever remember seeing in theaters. And that movie is Tangled. So we built a deck based on the characters in Tangled. And I actually don't know, I'm actually kind of curious to see when that movie came out. I think it was early 2010s. Yeah, 2010, November. So I would have been almost 7. And it's been a really long time since I've seen that movie. I've seen it only a few times, and it's probably been 10 or more years since I've seen it last, but I still remember each scene and the story really vividly, which is just a testament to how good of a movie it was. So we built a deck based on the characters. We have Pascal, Rapunzel, we have Mother Gothel before and after she uses the powers of the flower. We have the Tower, Flynn Rider and Maximus in one, the Stabbington brothers, and then the thug that was hitting on Mother Gothel outside of that duck bar. I don't remember what his name was, but I remember his face. So we're going to give this a try. We're also using Royal Chef because of the famous scene with the frying pan. So we had to use the tower that was using the frying pan as well. And this is, it's a little bit on it's on the heavier side for a deck, and I'm used to playing quicker cycle decks. I also never play Royal Chef, so curious to see how this goes. And I remember when I went to see that movie, that was still at a time when I remember them giving out like the tickets that they gave you when they bought it. They were like those red carnival tickets, like the ones that said admit one on it. Like it would have been 15 years ago, and I just remember that was what was used to get in. But I remember loving that movie. It was kind of a childhood staple. And it's really interesting to look back and see either the movies or the games or the toys that you had at that time and how they kind of impact you today and impact the kind of things you're interested in. Because I remember the scene when Mother Gothel stabbed Flynn Rider. Like at that time when I was, my 6-year-old self, that was like the peak of like horror for me. Like I was so scared of that scene, even though there wasn't any blood. It wasn't graphic, and looking back, it was just a Disney scene. But at the time, it was traumatic for me. And now some of the things that I'm really interested in are they're almost similar in a sense that I'm really into kind of forensic crime scene type things. And so one person stabbing another person is kind of obviously not something that I like, but something that I'm kind of fascinated by. And I also love cars and Hot Wheels. And if you look back at that time, you would always see me with a like a Hot Wheels car ever since I was a kid. So, and the first real job I got a few years ago was at a car dealership where I got to sell cars and drive cars, and I really liked it. And my brother, we had a game called Sky Captain, which was an airplane game, and that was one that he really liked. And just recently he got his, not too recently, but maybe a year and a half ago, a couple years ago, he got his pilot's license. So, and he wants to be a pilot, so that was a game he really liked, and I was going into a profession that kind of is along those lines. And I really loved cars and Hot Wheels and model cars and all that, and that's kind of the first profession that I went into as well. And so it's just really interesting to see how kind of the toys and the games and the things that you're interested in and fascinated in, they usually still affect the kind of decisions and the kind of career you go in today. And it's interesting to see that. And one of my older sisters, one of the toys she really loved that she would sometimes get me and my younger brother involved in was, there were a couple actually. One of them was just, were Barbie toys. But I think the more common one was I think it was the Littlest Pet Shop or something like that, but there were little animals, and you'd have kind of a building or a hospital or something, and she really loved kind of having them interact with each other and help each other, just little model animals. And now she has her degree in, she got a degree not too long ago in, I think, psychology and child development, and she's had quite a few jobs where she's been doing that. She's been helping kids, she's been interacting with them, she's tutoring them now, and that was kind of the things that she was into as a kid. She loved playing with little models and having them interact with and help each other, and so that's kind of the field that she's decided to go into. So it's just really cool to kind of see how that still affects you today. And that's also why it's super important for when you are a parent to not just have your kids rely on screens or video games, or not have them get too involved with things like I don't know, violent video games or violent movies, because that'll affect them even into their adult years, and it'll kind of affect what kind of things they're interested in. And so it's important to kind of have your kids, have them try new things, have them go outside, have them see what they like, because that's at least what our family did. And it's been I don't know, I think we had a really good childhood. I think looking back, my childhood was pretty good, and I think a large part of that was because of just doing more hands-on activity instead of simply sitting on a screen all day and relying on that. So that's just something I was thinking about as I was building this deck and thinking about my childhood, and realizing that I had a pretty good childhood. And looking back, I was a really rebellious child. Like, I wouldn't do what people said. I definitely wasn't the most obedient child. And at that time, all I wanted to do was be an adult, pretty much, because I didn't want to go to bed when people told me to. I wanted to eat junk food all the time. I wanted to kind of do my own thing and not be told what to do by other people. But now that I'm an adult, looking back, I kind of wish that I was still a child, which just goes to show that you should really live in the moment and be grateful for what you have. Because if you just look at I'll be happy when this certain thing happens, or I'll be happy when I'm an adult, or when I achieve this certain goal, oftentimes you'll reach that goal and you'll realize that that's never what made you happy, and that you kind of just you didn't live in the moment, is all I'm saying. So wherever you're at in your life, kind of look around and be grateful for what you have, be grateful for where you're at, and don't tell yourself that, when I buy this certain thing or when I achieve this certain goal, then I'll be happy. Because a lot of times, once you end up reaching that point, you'll end up looking back and realizing that it didn't really make you happy, and you wish that you had enjoyed and been grateful for the moment. So that's kind of how it's been with my childhood. It's a little bit sad when you're kind of in my age, in the early 20s, and looking back and realizing that you're not going to be able to experience your childhood again. So just be grateful for where you're at, is all I'm saying. And watch Tangled if you haven't already. Fantastic movie. And I'll see you in the next video.